Welcome to Literary AF Podcast.
Hello, you're listening to Literary AF Podcast. I'm Danny.
And I'm Arlene.
And today we're going to be talking about more Immortals After Dark.
Yay!
It's the last two books and then we're all caught up.
Boo!
So today we're going to start with Shadow's Seduction,
Yep.
which is an novella that is...
Male-on-male romance.
Yes, the first one in the series.
The only one in the series currently.
At this point, yep.
Yeah. Which is, I'm glad that there's at least one. Because I think after I had read about 3 or 4 of these, I'm like, Danny, where's that gay shit? That's what I'm about. And she's like, well, I mean, there's one. And so, because I guess I like a lot of the lore. And normally I read a lot of male-on-male and female-on-female romance. And, I don't know, I could see a lot of potential here. So I was really excited to read this one. And I know, Danny, you have read it a long time ago.
I read it like 3 years ago. It was one of the very first romance books that I read.
Oh.
It was the first Cressley Cole book that I had read.
Oh!
Yeah. So, I don't have a whole lot of memory of this one. Because I had no idea what was going on when I read this book.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there that I do not know if I would have been able to appreciate properly had I not known the actual lore of the series beforehand.
Because I only started reading romance books about 3 years ago. Not even, 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
When I lost my previous job. And I kind of sat at home for 5 months. Because I qualified for EI because I was fired under shitty conditions. And I got 5 months unemployment while I searched for other jobs. And I had like another job lined up. So I wasn't really worried about anything.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot of time watching Great British Bake Off and reading books. And I started reading romance books around that time.
Living the life,
Oh,
honestly.
yeah. For sure. And Felicia Day has a book club. And, well, they don't do it anymore. But,
Okay.
where they just read and have, like, YouTube discussions about books. And when I first joined it, one of the very first picks was Shadow's Seduction. Because they had read Shadow's Claim.
Okay, so for them it was book 2.
Yeah.
And so they were fine.
But even then, like, they didn't read... They read 3 Cressley Cole books in that book club. They read...
Those 2, for sure.
These 2, and...
Was it one of her other series? Like, not...
No. No. I think they only read 2, but they didn't want to read A Hunger Like No Other. Because the political climate at the time...
Okay, yeah, I understand that because, yeah, these books are...
Lachlan is rough.
There's lots of consent issues in these books, for sure.
Even just as far as these heroes go, Lachlan is rough.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. He's
pretty bad.
I'll have to read it, just because, again, that's the only one I haven't read.
Yeah.
So I should get him out of the way.
So they read Shadow's Claim, which was years before this one.
Mm-hmm.
And then they read this. And so I joined the book club, and then they read Shadow's Seduction. So
okay.
This was my first book in the series. It was one of my very first romance books.
What did you think back then?
I just went, I don't know, this is cool, I guess. I just didn't know what to think, because there was so much going on that I just did not understand.
Yeah, I buy that. Even just the fact that they're going to different planes and the fated mate stuff.
Like, I thought the concept was cool, like, vampires having one mate. I remember that being really cool.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, this is interesting. I'd read more of this. Surprise. There was a lot more of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, fortunately, you had 13 books more for you. So
something like that, yeah.
Yeah. But I was going into it in the proper order.
Yes.
So I should say I didn't love this book, which kind of sucks because I really wanted to, because I'm kind of like, well, it's the only male-on-male book in the series so far. Like, I think that's great that she's written one at all. So I was really jazzed. But I don't like Cass, and I don't like Mercio. I don't like either of them.
No.
And that really made it hard to get into their relationship. Even just kind of the way it started, felt really awkward to me, like the whole, hey, we met at an orgy and we're best bros, and let's go have sex with all the people.
Yeah, bang buddies.
And then they do that, and eventually, of course, they get into a situation where, they're gonna have sex with two nymphs. It's hot. They're gonna have fun bro orgy time.
Yeah.
And the nymphs are like, what would get us really hot is if you guys kissed.
Yeah.
And they do. And then they leave.
The nymphs leave. The nymphs leave because they're like, hey, we're not involved in this situation anymore.
They get really, really into it. And Cass, at this point, he is a straight man.
Yes.
At least he has always thought himself a straight man.
Yeah.
And Mercio is extremely bisexual.
A rampant bisexual.
Rampant. Accurate.
Yes.
And he'll he's good.
Down for whatever.
He's good for this.
Yeah.
Cass is understandably
shook.
Yes. And it happens at a bad time too, because the timeline where that incident kind of falls is just before the tournament for Bettina's hand in Shadow's Claim.
Yes.
And Cass is aware of it at that time, and he's like, man, I gotta go and save my friend. So they're actually in Dacia at the time when all this happens, and the rules of Dacia are that you can't leave. It's a secret kingdom. They don't want people just coming in and out willy-nilly and knowing where it is. So if you try to leave, you're gonna die. And Cass leaves, and Trehan follows him in order to kill him.
Cue Shadow's Claim.
Yeah, Shadow's Claim happens. At the end of Shadow's Claim, Cass, who is cowed and his pride is wounded, he decides, hey, I'm gonna go to the Plane of Lost Years, henceforth referred to as Polly, as they do in the book. I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna gather strength. And he just leaves. Mercio finds out that he's gone there, and it takes him a few weeks. So he goes there looking for him, and it's been 500 years for Cass because of how time works in that plane. Yeah. So...
And the way death demons get stronger is with age and also with every kill that they make.
Yeah,
so Cass has been killing for 500 years, so now he's, like, supercharged.
Yeah, super beefy old man who's suddenly way older than this guy he left behind.
Yeah, because they were close in age before then.
Yeah. So, Mercio is... what is he, like, 30 max?
Mercio? He's in his 20s.
Yeah, so he's really young, and now his want-to-be boyfriend is, well, not even boyfriend, fated mate.
Yeah.
This is where I found the terminology of bride to be troublesome for me. I mean, on the one hand, I think it's cute if just everyone is a bride no matter what. Yeah. But at the same time, like, they never really address it. Like, they don't start calling him his groom. So...
He's just bride.
Yeah,
that's what he is.
He's just his bride. And, but yeah, Mercio goes there looking for him. And they kind of... I wouldn't say necessarily pick up where they left off as far as Cass being super upset and Mercio being like, come on! But that's basically what happens.
Yeah.
And so they spend the entire book with Mercio trying to convince Cass to stop being like this. And it never felt charming. It always just felt awkward and difficult. And, like, these guys just really needed to talk to one another. And I don't like that kind of conflict. Like, that kind of conflict bothers me as an adult who feels like they are reasonably good at communicating problems. When I look at this, and I'm just like, dude, you are 500 now. Why are you scared to tell this guy, hey, fuck off. Give me a chance to acclimate to this. And to even, like, consider this as an idea of something that I might want, instead of just kind of pushing yourself at me at every opportunity. And I guess I tried to tell myself that I was expecting a lot of this book. And that's why I was disappointed, but the longer I sat with it, the more I was kind of like, no, it was just kind of weak. The relationship premise was good, but I think the way it developed was unsatisfying.
It's also a novella.
Yeah.
So she had a lot less page to do what she wanted to do.
Yeah. Which is fair.
Like, for Wicked Abyss by itself is 440 pages. And Shadow's Seduction is 230 in a larger print.
Yeah, I mean, even if it was smaller print, it would probably be about 300-ish pages, which is about 2/3 of the way through a normal Kresley Cole novel. So, yeah, I mean, she had to condense a lot of stuff into a little
The print
time.
in this book, the pages are bigger, and the print is a lot bigger.
Yeah, so no, I think it's fair, at least. I mean, I haven't read a whole lot of novellas either, so I will say that. So I kind of am trying not to judge it so much on, like, feeling like a side story, but I don't think that the relationship got the kind of development, or at least, like, the kind of hook that I was hoping for. So that's, to me, where I thought it was kind of weak. But, I guess the ending was okay. I mean, they eventually do work it out where Cass just kind of needs an adjustment period, and there is a point in the book where they bond by going on a bounty hunt together.
Yeah, they kill a sorcerer man.
Yep. Cass, in order to survive in poly / make money / make kills, has been taking bounties. And so he'll just go and kill dudes for money. And Rousseau decides that this is a thing that he also wants to do.
Yeah.
And he chooses the oldest and the most difficult bounty on the board. And Cass finds out and goes to him and is like, "You're gonna die, dude. I have to help you."
Yep.
And they do it together, and they interrupt a old and... I don't know the word that I'm thinking of, but anyways, it's a sexy debauchery scene that they break in on, where this guy just super high in bed surrounded by sexy ladies, and they're like, "Okay, man, you're coming with us." And I felt kind of bad for the guy, because he's stoned as hell. He's just having a nice time. He's just having a nice time with his many girlfriends. And, they drag him off. So, yeah, all in all,
This book ends on a cliffhanger, too. Cosmina's gone missing.
Yes. Yeah.
And nobody knows where to find her. And I think it's been, like, not in this book, but in one of the other books, it's implied that she's sick.
Yes, yeah, it is. I forget which book it is, too, but they do talk about how...
Somebody mentions that there's a lady vampire, who's out of Dacia, who has been... She's come down with the plague.
Yeah.
That has killed all the other female vampires in the world.
And I think... the reason, too, that's also significant is that they also imply at some point that the guys who come and pick up this sorcerer guy, the jailers, also have her in order to contain that plague.
Oh.
I remember that.
Okay.
I don't remember where I read it, so I hope I'm not...
Okay.
Hope I'm not making stuff up, but I do not think I am, so I think that's also something.
Yeah.
So, hints of stuff to come.
Shadow's Kiss is what the next one's going to be called.
Yeah, which is... And I hope that's Cosmina.
It is Cosmina.
Oh,
yes.
Well, it better be.
It is.
Who else would it be?
It's Cosmina.
Okay. I believe
There's just no idea who she's paired up with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Deshizer has come up.
Ugh, please.
Salem has come up.
Oh, that's also good.
Yeah. It could be like Duroc, like a...
Do you think, though?
I don't know if they do it in the side novel, but somebody said that it would be cool. Somebody said maybe Thaddeus Braden.
Oh.
But that's also a side novel, so I don't think they'd do that.
I don't think so. I think Thad deserves his own book.
Yeah.
So, please. But, yeah, I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
So, but, I definitely think Wicked Abyss was better.
Yep.
And...
Wicked Abyss is the last one.
Yes.
Yep.
I literally finished it an hour before I came over, so this one, I would at least say that, yeah, the ending is pretty fresh in my mind.
Yeah.
And I know you really enjoyed this one, too.
I did. I like this one. I'm always a big fan of, like, fairy tale retellings.
Yeah.
And this one is, like, 4 fairy tales just smashed into each other at high speed.
4 fairy tales plus King Arthur.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Uther.
I'm still convinced.
Uther.
Yeah, Uther Pendragon. Uther the Dragon.
Yeah.
It can't be a coincidence.
Could be. So this is about a fae princess named Lila Calliope. And
not the connection I'd have made for a nickname for her for that, but
no, that confused me too.
Yeah,
that is not the one I would have gone with, but you know, Lila's alright.
Yeah, it's cute.
And the second of the Morior, Abyssian Infernus. Abyssian is the new king of hell.
With a name like that, what
coming.
else was he doing?
His brother Gorlov.
Oh no, Gorlov!
Gorlov was last seen in Shadow's Claim as the big monster to beat.
Yes.
And he is beaten, and that means Abyssian takes over as reigning king of Pandoria. Pandoria.
Yes. Pandoria.
Something.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
I'll tell as the reigning king, he is being inflicted by the Hell Change.
Yes.
Which means he used to be known for being like this super hot, like, fae prince, because he was missing his horns.
Yep.
Which just means he looked like a regular old fae guy.
Yeah.
And he was known for being super hot and being a womanizer. And when he became Prince of Hell, like, his skin turned red, and he grew giant horns. Now he's like 7 feet tall, and he's covered in piercings, and he's covered in magic glyphs, and
spikes,
wings, and spikes, and full-on demon.
Way hotter like this.
Full-on demon.
Don't let anyone tell you you aren't perfect the way you are, Abyssinian.
So he goes straight up monster.
Abyssian. Oh my god.
Abyssian.
I'm sorry. Abyssinian is something completely different.
It is a cat?
Yes.
Not Abyssian.
He's just like cats, okay?
I think Fated Mates did the exact same thing.
Amazing.
Yes, Abyssian Infernus.
Yes.
And he when he was like 16, he met the Fae princess, whose name?
Karina. Carrie or Carinia?
Carinia, something like that.
Yeah, he calls her Carrie a lot.
Yeah. She was like a Fae princess that he spent some time with, and it turns out she was his fated mate, but she was also a bitch, and she tricked him.
Yep.
And she's like, give me information about your people.
Yeah, tell me about your people. I'm so interested. I love you.
Yeah. And she turns around and uses that information, and they take a bunch of his people prisoner and take them as slaves.
Yep.
And there's one point where she says something about his horns.
She calls him the king of beasts.
Yeah.
And that she could never love an animal like him.
So he rips off his horns.
He chops off his own horns with an axe,
yes.
which is even worse.
Yeah.
And then she, rejects him again.
She rejects him again. And then he goes back to hell. And he joins the Morior. And then he grows up with this huge fucking grudge.
Yep.
And his princess, like, died in childbirth.
Yes.
Because she and her husband didn't bother waiting until she was fully immortal to get pregnant. So she dies giving birth.
Which I think is honestly just clumsy of these fae doctors at this point. Like,
he says that, like,
guys.
in the book. He's like, why the hell didn't they wait? Why couldn't they have waited?
I also question, like, this is like a Star Wars question as well. Like, have you people never heard of a C-section?
Yeah.
Do these fairies not know how to give... Well, like, I call them
Those
fairies.
like
They're elves.
5,000 years ago.
But,
so.
yeah, but still.
So
anyways.
Lila is the reincarnation of Kari.
Yep.
And Lila is living among the humans because she was banished from her Fae realm.
Because her parents were plotting against the crown.
Yes. And she's working in the Magic Kingdom as a princess. Yeah. And she gets kidnapped by Sabine and Melanthe, who are like, here's your lady, take her. In exchange, we want the Reckner people who are living in Pandorium. It is Pandorium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We neglected to mention this at the end of the last episode.
Yeah.
But eventually the Reckoner people do find a new home, and
On a
surprise,
mountain.
surprise, it's Pandorium.
It's
I'm not looking it up right now.
So they actually just, like, take a spot on a mountain in the Hell Plane, and they're like, we live here now. And in exchange for that, they give Abyssian Lila, and what he does is he actually makes the space around the Reckner home its own plane, and then he sends that plane, like, spinning into the void. Like, he actually rips it off and just sends it spinning, and he's like, good luck teleporting back into this realm.
Yeah,
and
he sends it elsewhere.
Yeah.
Pandemonia?
Pandemonia.
Wow.
Yeah.
We have been saying that all wrong.
Yes.
Pandemonia, like pandemonium. Okay,
yeah.
we're good now.
So, he separates the Rechners and shoots them off into the abyss.
Yep.
And actually, Uther was there at the time that he did that.
Yes, and Uther was not happy when he got back, but
yeah.
that comes a little later.
Yes.
The Sorcerai Melanthe, who was living there and wanted freedom for her people now, you know, like, they bring him his maid and are like, here you go.
Yeah.
And she has also been charged by Nyx to get information about the Morior.
Because the one person that Nyx can't see is Orion.
Yes.
And so Nyx uses her as, like, her inside woman.
Yeah. And she's aware of it because her fiancé at the time, who is coincidentally the man who banished her, came to her and said, oh, do this and then we'll let you come home and we'll get married. Yeah. And this guy is kind of a snake, so already I'm like, obviously that's not going to happen. Yeah. She's like, oh, I love you so much. And
then it goes straight up Beauty and the Beast.
Yes.
Where he locks her in a tower that used to be a sex tower.
There are statues everywhere with dicks.
Yeah. And he's like, here's a bunch of fire spider thread.
Yes.
And here's a spinning wheel, and you better spin all of this thread into yarn by the time the sun comes up. And it just goes Rapunzel.
Abyssian Rumpelstiltskin.
Yeah. And so she spins all this thread all night long.
Yep.
And then the spiders come back, and she actually befriends the spiders, who are named Chip and Dale.
It's actually kind of cute because she goes, like, full Disney princess here. Because
like, there's no holds barred. This is straight up Disney princess.
It's really cute because she starts making friends with all the hell animals and names
the fire
them, like,
spiders, the hell cats, the sea serpents, like, the hellhounds, like, straight up Disney princess.
And she's naming them, like, Disney things, like Chip and Dale and all this kinds of silly stuff, so it's really cute.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
She sets a trap for him.
Because she's trying to get out, because this is not ideal situation.
She's not immortal yet, is the other thing. She can't, like, just fix herself if she jumps off the tower. So,
and the tower is also covered in fire vines.
Fire vines, yep.
So every time she touches them, she's getting poisoned and burned.
Yeah.
And it's miserable, and he is intent on keeping her prisoner as revenge for what her past life did to him. Yeah. Even though she doesn't remember any of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So she sets up a trap with a net and dick statues. I remember laughing really hard.
A literal bag of dicks?
Literal bag of dicks.
She cuts the dicks off of she breaks the dicks off of all of the statues.
No, they're just dick statues. They're just statues of dicks.
Oh, are they? I thought she broke them off the
statues.
statues.
No, they're just statues of dicks.
That's even better.
She's got them in a bag. And she's got the sack of dicks and a trap, and the trap wraps around his ankle.
Yes.
And he is dragged off the balcony by a literal sack of dicks.
Imagine being that interior decorator, just having a crate full of penises to arrange in various rooms as you'd like.
I think Uther, like, watches this happen, and he thinks it's really funny.
I mean, it kind of was. Yeah. Uther's so good. He is the primordial dragon shifter.
He's a dragon shifter, but he will not change out of his dragon form for reasons unknown.
Yeah, he just... I think it's just because he's a scaly and loves being a dragon so much. I think he just likes it. And, but anyways, he heckles Abyssian so much for the whole thing, and it's kind of good.
He's a good boy.
He is a good boy. Also, you know who was a good boy? Gorlov.
Gorlov, yeah. You see the other side of Gorlov.
Okay, that was a tragedy.
Yeah.
Gorlov is the saddest story now, because whatever, I'm gonna spoil it. He, in Shadow's Claim, was the big, huge, gross demon guy.
Yeah, he's just a monster.
Whose blood bled monsters.
Yeah.
And it turns out he entered the tournament because he was so lonely, he just wanted somebody to love. And I'm like, could you rip my heart out of my chest and stomp on it again, please?
Yeah.
And he's dead.
Yep.
And I had a lot of sad feelings, and I still do. Justice for Gorlov. But anyways.
There's a lot of, like, this doesn't really go anywhere. They're in the castle for most of the book.
Yeah.
So this is, like...
It's a lot of relationship development.
Yeah.
Like, they fight a whole bunch, but she is super clever, and he really likes that.
Yeah.
And so he frustrates her a lot, and she does the same to him, but they're also both kind of feeling each other.
Yeah.
Because she thinks he's super hot. Like, girl, you got good taste.
Yeah.
I approve, Lila.
And, he takes her out to see some sea dragons, and she's super into it. And then he takes her out to see some hellcats, and she's like, can we keep a kitten? And he's like, we'll keep all of them. Like, it's straight up Beauty and the Beast. Like, oh, you like books? Here's an entire library of books for you to read.
Yes.
Type situation. And it's super cute.
You have a closet that will automatically generate any clothing you want to wear.
Anything you want to wear, just think it, it'll pop into existence. Because he's omnipresent in hell.
Yep.
He has god powers in this realm. Anything you want, or anything at all, he's like, he sees everything that's happening.
Yep.
And, it's cute. And she can read demonish, and he doesn't know. And she goes through, like, his letters and stuff. And there's, like, a letter from the concubines that he keeps in his concubine tower.
At one point, they're talking about, oh, well, you're gonna be my wife, and you're gonna live here forever, but I also have 12 concubines, and I'm just gonna have those too.
Yeah.
Haha. And, he kind of throws that in her face, just being a dick. And
she doesn't realize that he immediately gets rid of them after that, though. He's like, actually, I don't want those concubines. You can leave. But he doesn't tell her that, and then she finds the letters from the concubines in his study that are like, well, we can't wait for you to have babies with us. And she gets real mad about it.
Now that you have a maid and you broke your seal, now you can come give us babies.
And she gets real mad about it.
Yeah, and from that point on, she kind of... Because at this point, she's kind of resigned herself to living there. Like, they actually get married very early on.
They do, yeah.
He promises to not hurt the
elves.
Yeah,
he won't let the Morior hurt the elves.
Yeah, and that's been the biggest thing, is that she's there to protect her people from being killed by the Morior, who are notorious, for killing whole peoples,
they just
whole civilizations,
wipe out entire races of people.
And also too, because she is of a bloodline that Rune the Baneblood from Sweet Ruin, he's been trying to wipe out for centuries, and so she's terrified of him.
He's the boogeyman.
Yeah,
I think they call him the boogeyman at one point.
Yeah. Like she's, for multiple reasons, does not want to be here, but because she wants to be a good queen to the Fae people, she agrees to marry him.
Yeah.
And, so at that point, she had been, like, where she finds the letters from the concubines, she had been starting to really like him.
Yeah.
And starting to feel like this was a place where she could be.
Yeah.
And, hey, maybe being his wife and the Queen of Hell is not going to be so bad.
Yeah.
And then that happens, and she is suddenly like, no, I gotta get the hell out of here.
Yes. And he also, I don't remember how he finds out that she was working with Nyx.
I believe he reads her mind at some point. Because she's had her mind blocked for so long, and at some point he reads her mind for some reason. I think they're just...
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, I just read it.
I mean, sure, you just read it. I don't remember that happening.
Yeah, it's not super clear. Like, in the book, it's like, oh, well, I read your mind, but it also implies that Rune fed him information about her. Because Rune, having been tracking her and her family for so long, he knows more about her than he lets on. And at some point, he has a conversation with Abyssian about her, where Abyssian is like, tell me about her, and he's like, I don't know, because he's trying to protect Abyssian.
Yeah, because he knows that she's engaged to the prince.
Yes.
And he knows that she's his cousin and stuff like that.
Yes.
So, eventually it comes out that she's working with Nyx.
Yes.
And Rune, this was my favorite moment of the book, where Rune leaves the realm, and Lila is just like, fuck it.
You mean Abyssian?
Abyssian leaves, and Lila is just like, fuck it, I'm the queen. And she blocks all entrances to the realm with her mind, and she locks everything down. She's the queen. She has the same powers that Abyssian does.
Yep.
And she gets into this, like, cool bitch dress get-up.
Oh, yeah.
And she puts on this fucking black crown of horns, and she is just straight up badass.
Yeah.
Like, she goes just Maleficent on the whole thing.
It's
It is so
good.
good. And
oh my god, I missed that reference totally.
yeah.
The Maleficent with the horns?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay,
Yeah.
alright.
And she writes Abyssian a note.
Oh
And she gives the note to Uther, and she's like, I'm the queen of this realm. And Uther just, like, bows down to her and is like, my lady. And she's like, take this to Abyssian.
Make him read it out loud to his friends.
I'm gonna try to find it. Just give me 1 second. Alright, I'm actually just gonna start at the beginning where she puts on her bad bitch outfit, because it's like 2 pages ahead of what I was looking for, and it's really good. When Lila entered her wardrobe, a purple gown appeared across the divan, a pair of glass slippers beneath it. She'd never seen such an exquisite garment. It was sleeveless, with a stiff, raised collar and a neckline that would plunge almost to her navel. The color was royal and defiant, reminding her of her treason trial. She pulled on the gown with a shiver. The material, one she had never encountered before, had such a pronounced sheen that it looked black in certain lights. She stepped into the glass slippers, and they molded to her feet. And then she finds a crown. And, she donned the piece, her eyes going wide when it tightened to fit her head. Those vines slithered down, plaiting into her hair. She faced the mirror once more. Her eyes glowed with purpose. The crown made her look as if she had horns, a true queen of hell. And she finds a scepter, and then she goes to see Uther, and she gives him a note, and then he takes the note back to Cian. And Cian reads the note out loud, and it reads, Demon, hell is now mine. You locked me in the dungeon, I locked you out of your goddamn house. In the immortal words of a very wise mortal, everything you own in a box to the left. Field advantage is key, and the joke's on you. Game, set, and match, Calliope the First, Queen of Sylvan and Pandemonia. P.S. If you or your allies make any move on Sylvan, I will retaliate against the Morior tenfold. Do not test me. Queen of Sylvan, Cian clutched his chest. She must go back to Seth. Or she must plan to go back to Seth. Must not have believed what I said about him. Why would she when Cian had been bragging about all his lies and trickery? I told her that when we were no longer wed, that I'd forsaken her. She'd marry again. I drove her straight to him. Would Seth want her hand or her head? What does that mean about the part with the box to the left, he demanded of his allies? Does she reference Pandora's box? Or the mystical Naga's box, maybe? Brother, it's a song lyric, said Rune. At Cian's blank look, he just said, just trust me when I say it's the funniest shit you've read. I thought that was so good.
So good.
I thought that was so funny.
I know, I was so happy.
So then Lila goes to basically kick elven ass. And Uther opens up a portal to the Sylvan realm. And the portal closes at midnight. So she has to make sure she's back before the bell chimes at midnight. And then she just goes in there and raises hell.
Yeah, she goes in there and is like, oh, this is fine.
Because technically, she has a better claim to the throne than Seth does. If she's a reincarnated princess.
Also, he has pissed her off. Because she finds out that he's basically
getting married to somebody else.
Yeah, and he's abandoned her. He never had any intention of bringing her home and getting married to her, whatever. Yeah. She was never going to have the life that she wanted that kept her kind of, I would say, a little bit closed off to Abyssian the whole time.
She's like, I'm just going to go over there and fuck you up because I technically have a better claim to the throne because I'm a princess reincarnate.
Yep.
And she does. Yep. And Cian shows up. They both kick some ass.
Yep.
And she takes over. They kill Seth.
Yeah, she kills him.
She kills Seth.
Notably.
And then she becomes the Queen of Sylvan.
Yep.
And Cian is the king of Pandemonia. And they both basically co-rule the realms together.
Yeah, which is kind of cute.
Yeah.
And a thing that I'll also mention, because it was significant to me, is, like, I have had conversations with Danni about my feelings about the Beauty and the Beast retelling. She and I have opposing views on it. I don't like it if the beast doesn't stay a beast, essentially, like, in appearance. And without getting into it too much, because I think she and I could argue about it for a long time, I like the way this book handled that, because at some point, Abyssian kind of has to accept that Lila isn't Carrie, the woman who betrayed him. She's her own person now, and he needs to let go of the past. And in that, he breaks the hell curse that's turning him into a big, quote-unquote, ugly monster. And he is able to control his appearance, so he can become that super hot kind of dude. Or he can gain his demonic appearance at will. And I liked that. To me, it felt like a good happy medium. I really like monsters, and yeah, to me it's never about the appearance in these things, so yeah, that sat well with me. And I also liked how, I mean, it's been very clear that when it comes to the Morio, that Nyx is playing a game with Orion.
Yeah.
Really, they're just vying for whatever. It's the same kind of tricksy game that Abyssian and Lila were playing. But in this book, I kind of got the sense that, I mean, both parties think they're the good guys here.
Yeah.
And in a way, I started to doubt Nyx's
It implies
motives.
that Nyx might be on the wrong side.
Yeah. That's
a feeling I've gotten from the last couple books. Mm-hmm. Is that Nyx is setting something up, and it might not be for the better.
Yeah, and that's what I'm really interested in now. And there's some point in this book, I don't remember the exact quote, where somebody's like, Nyx doesn't realize what she's doing, and they don't realize what Nyx is doing.
Yeah, Nyx knows what she's doing.
Yes.
And they don't realize just how much she knows.
Yeah.
And there's, in Sweet Ruin, I think, Nyx tells Jo, never trust a Valkyrie.
Yep.
And that kind of stuck with me for the last two books. Like, I don't know if, because Nyx's first name is Phoenix.
Yep.
And they shorten it into Nyx. And it implies like a rising from the ashes kind of situation. Mm-hmm. And I've been thinking, like, what if she is setting herself up to be the big bad at the end of the series? And Nyx, by making all these couples, is giving them the power to win the fight when she does rise as the bad guy.
That sounds very plausible to me.
Yeah.
And really interesting, and I kind of hope that that is what it is, just because I think it would really, like, justify, like, not justify, but it would really make Nyx feel like the biggest and most awesome character in the series.
Yeah.
I mean, she super feels like she's background all the time, and she's really got, like, her fingers and everything.
Yeah.
But it would really make her feel like Nyx is the big character in Immortals After Dark, period.
Because Cressy Cole has said, like, she can always change her mind about this, but she's said in the past that Nyx's book is the final book of the series.
Right.
And I feel like Nyx could be a neutral part. Because there's a scene where she goes to vie for godhood.
Yep.
And she knows that she's going to get it, so she doesn't put any effort in it. I thought that was really funny. Because she shows up in, like, old clothes with a bat hanging off her shoulder, and she's not prepared. She's like, I already know what you're going to say, so...
Yeah, why are we here?
she's bidding to be the goddess of the accession.
Yeah.
which is not, like, a good or a bad sounding position.
No.
Like, that
it's
would
neutral.
be both sides.
Mm-hmm.
So, she's driving the accession. You don't know what she's driving it towards. It doesn't necessarily mean that she's driving it towards, like, the good side winning.
Yeah.
But... No.
But even then, who's the good side now?
Yeah.
Because we're seeing the Morior, and they're not any better or worse than, in my opinion, the Veritas, aside from the fact that, yeah, okay, they go in and kill a whole bunch of people usually.
But their thing is that they're stopping people from...
doing worse
things, is what you learn through this book, is that they're not... The apocalypse, they're trying to stop it.
Yeah.
They're called the Harbingers of Doom, because they come before Doom.
Yeah.
And that's because they're trying to stop it.
Yeah, I think that can be interpreted one of two ways. Is, like, the one way where I think, like, is the more general way that if you were living in this realm that you would interpret it, is that, like, they come because they're gonna kill everyone.
Yeah.
Versus where it's like you said, where it's actually, like, they're coming because something is gonna happen that's gonna kill everyone,
yeah.
and they're going to stop it.
Because it seems like Orion has the same powers that Nyx does.
Mm-hmm.
And they cannot see each other.
Yeah.
Because Nyx can't see what Orion's doing, and Orion can't see what Nyx is doing.
Yeah.
And actually, we didn't mention it, but this book is, like, I like the way it starts and finishes, where it's Nyx telling a story in the wreckage of Valkyrie Hall.
Oh, yes!
And she's just like, everybody gather around and listen to my story, and everybody's like, Nyx, what the fuck?
You know what? Regan's book was like that too.
Yeah.
Where Nyx is telling stories, and yeah, this one was particularly funny too, and also because the end and everyone was like, "What the hell?
At
We
the
have
end,
to get their allies back."
Yeah.
Like, what?
At the end, the storyteller noticed that her audience had grown, and she was pleased that her listeners clamored for the ending of her tale. She told them, "You see, our true-hearted fairy princess and that cunning dame of darkness clashed, figuratively, and became one, a fitting mate for an adoring beast king with two faces. She would be his consort of Pandemonia, and he would be her consort of Sylvan, two united halves of one whole, for the betterment of all elven and demon kind. And they lived happily ever after a bitch of an accession." The moral of the story is that the Sylvan Fae just allied with Pandemonia and the Morior. The Valkyries who gathered listened to Nyx's tale, exchanged looks, then broke into heated discussions about this development. But all the Fae are our staunch allies. This is how alliances crumble, one power at a time. I would do the dragon. What, don't fucking judge me.
Hell yeah.
Why would Nyx aid them? We must take back Sylvan before this Hell Queen solidifies her rule. Amid the chaos, Nyx rose and slipped outside, gazing up at the stars. She whispered, "Your move, Orion."
Yep.
Yeah.
So again, Nyx just making a whole book about her doing some weird stuff.
Yeah. A lot of people speculate, and I mean, it's pretty clear that Nyx and Orion are probably mates.
I hope so. If they're not, who else would be?
I don't know. Like, it's pretty clear that they're connected.
Yes.
And it's, I would say, a pretty safe bet that they're probably going to be mates, but who knows? It could be, who the fuck knows?
This book has surprised me before.
Yeah.
Yep. I have not always been able to predict who's going to end up with who. Like, for example, for all I know, maybe Cosmina's going to end up with that old sorcerer dude from the end of Shadow Seduction.
The Wizard Man?
Yeah. Why not?
Probably not.
Probably
not.
But you know.
Who knows? Who knows?
We can just theory craft. It's fine.
We could theory craft forever.
I know.
But that's it.
Yeah.
We're all caught up.
I know. I've got a...
End of the line.
I know, and I don't have a release date for Monroe yet,
Monroe
so
is
just suffer.
She said by the end of the year, and it is now September.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. She's got shit going on.
Yep.
And you can't make it happen faster, so we just gotta wait patiently and hope that he shows up eventually.
Yep.
I mean, this would be a really shitty place if there were no more books.
Absolutely.
But it's not the worst book to end on.
No.
It's a very different feeling book than the rest of the series.
I agree. Well, I mean, the Moriora felt really lighthearted to me. Like,
yeah.
Even Ruin's book was funny.
Yeah.
Like, they were genuinely funny books.
Yes. I mentioned this before, I think, where I feel like Lothair was the peak for Immortals After Dark.
Yeah, 100%.
It was the build-up to 11 books, and then you get Lothair, who is everything that you wanted in Lothair.
Yes.
And he had, like, build-up chapters in the books before where you're like, I can't wait. And nothing up after that point has been the same. I think if Uther got a book, that would probably be an equivalent, because he's got a lot of screen time in the other books, you know?
Yeah.
Good Lothair had, like, a build-up before his book that really made it worth it. If he hadn't had that kind of, like, build, it would have just been another book.
I think so.
And I think that, like, really just puts it a step above everything else, and, like, the Morior just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So there's no, like, wow. There's no...
At the same time,
insane.
I think, too, that was her way of establishing just a whole new pack of characters for her to pair people up with.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that as well, and I appreciate that there's a difference in tone.
Yeah.
And I without really knowing anything about an author's motives ever, like, to me it just feels like just kind of an evolution of the books that she's been writing for now years.
This is the only way it could go, is it needs to keep getting bigger. Mm-hmm. Like, it started with just the smallest fry.
Right.
Like, it was a werewolf and a Valkyrie.
Yeah.
And then the next book was a Valkyrie and a vampire.
Yep.
And from there, it's just been... Now it's a demon prince. Now it's a demon king. Now it's a werewolf prince. Now it's Lothair, who's the head of the evil army.
Yeah.
And now it's the Sky Prince. And now it's the evil organization's henchman. And then another henchman. And it's just getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
At this point, like...
I mean, she's building the stakes, really. And
it's working really well.
Yeah,
She's doing a really good job of it.
I also think it kind of does set a timeline, though, because, I mean, then you run the risk of just, like, making it bigger and bigger and bigger.
I don't know if we can get much bigger than the Morior. I feel like that's probably going to round out the series.
Yeah, so I mean, in theory, we could have, like, how many of the Morior are there? 12?
There's 2 empty seats at the table. There's supposed to be 12, I think.
Okay. So
there's 2 who cannot be named.
Yep. 3 are sleeping.
3, is it 2 or 3 sleeping?
3 sleeping.
3 is sleeping? So there's a lot of them.
Yeah, so, I mean, there could be 10 plus more books.
Yeah.
But
I feel like you can't get any bigger than Harbingers of Doom.
Yeah, me either.
And Nyx and Orion seem like they're gonna be mates. It would make the most sense to have the explosive climax of the series be Nyx and Orion.
Yep.
That would be... I'm just getting goosebumps just thinking about it. Like, that would just be the best ending, I think.
Agreed.
And it could just be so good. It could be amazing.
I know. And I mean, and there's so much more to go through before
And
that.
yeah, there's Darok, there's the Witch Queen who is here to collect some money from some bitches.
Oh, Alexa is coming.
Alexa is coming for your taxes.
She is coming for you, witches. And she's gonna take your homes.
And then there's the vampire, whose name I can't remember.
I can't remember his name either, but I like him a lot.
There's the vampire.
Just let the dragon fuck.
The primordial vampire. There's the dragon.
Oh, the dragon.
There's the 3 that are sleeping. There's Rune and there's Abyssian.
Yeah. I mean,
so there's 12 at the table and there's Orion.
Yeah. I assume, though, that not all of them are going to get books and some of them are going to be enemies that are going to need to be killed.
I think that's going to be the 3 that are sleeping.
Yeah, me too.
Because the other ones are named characters.
Yeah.
And I think the named characters are all going to get books.
They're developing their personalities.
Yeah.
Like, please, you have to give us books for these ones now. I can't just watch them die. It'll be horrible.
It's a really easy way to have 3 big bad guys to fight when they're nameless up until it's time to fight them.
Yes, agreed.
You don't get emotionally attached. Nobody gets hurt.
Agreed. Yeah. These books are great.
They're so good.
If you have been listening to all of these episodes that Danny and I have done, and you have not picked up these books, do yourself a favor.
Please read these books.
Even if you are not a fan of romance novels to begin with, these are so good.
They're a mastercraft of storytelling.
Absolutely.
Cressley Cole is building a story, and she's putting all these threads down that you don't even realize are there until 3 books later.
Yeah.
And the way she keeps building the stakes over and over and over again without it being too much is just amazing.
Yes.
She's telling an epic story, and she's doing it fantastically.
this is one of the most engaging book series that I've ever read in my life, and I have read all of the big guys in fantasy and a lot of the big guys in science fiction, so, you know, like, this stands with them. In my opinion, these are great.
People write it off because it's romance. Like, I know I bring this up to you a lot because you did it.
I am never going to live it down.
Never. It's a romance book, and that puts a lot of people off. But this is just, it's not a romance series. It is a paranormal epic.
Yeah, paranormal fantasy series.
Yeah,
100%.
It's romance. Each book has a couple, and there's banging. But
yeah,
the whole series in itself is just, it's something else.
I have always said, like, even just to myself, maybe not as people, but like, if I were to find fantasy or sci-fi books that had both, like, actual on-page sex and an amazing storyline, I would read the shit out of it. And I am holding true to that. I absolutely did. And yes, it took a little bit of arm twisting, but don't be an Arlene. Just
listen to your
trust
Danni.
us.
Just listen. They're so good.
Yes. So, yep.
I just want to read them again.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to start from the beginning and go back through.
I mean, but then, Danni, you have so many books in your
But
TBR.
Imagine starting from book 1, knowing what you know about everybody, going in with that knowledge of what's going to happen, and which characters are popping up that are going to be important later.
Yeah. I mean, the first few books at least. I would at least want to reread. Like, probably the first 4. But I won't for a bit, because I have a lot of a big backlog now. I don't even want to discuss my TBR on Goodreads and my wish list on Amazon do not have the same books in them.
No.
There are hundreds of books in both. So we'll be moving on.
Yep.
I actually, because I know, like, Sheldon and I have been switching off with you.
Yeah.
And I know that we have our big triple threat coming up too. Yep. But I'm not sure what we're gonna do for next time. But I don't know if it's gonna be romance or not.
It's a while off. It's gonna be a long ways off because that triple threat is gonna be at least 3 or 4 episodes. So
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, more to look forward to for you.
A couple
guys.
months from now.
Well, then I've got a lot of time to get through some books.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah.
All right.
Where can they find us?
They can find us on Facebook, Literary AF. We are on Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube, Literary AF. You can email us at literaryafpod@gmail.com. And I'm on Twitter, LiteraryAFPod.
And CatFaceGargoyle for me.
And that's it. So if you take one thing away from these episodes, this hour-long episode, please read Immortals After Dark.
Yes,
it is so good.
You are doing yourself a favor. Yes. Yep.
All right.
Talk to you guys later.
Bye.